My husband told me to wait in the underground parking garage while he made an urgent phone call. I am Cynthia, a woman 28 years of age who completely trusted the man I married 3 years ago. As I stood leaning against a concrete pillar in the dim basement of the shopping mall, a security guard suddenly approached me with a highly urgent expression. He pulled me into a quiet corner away from the surveillance cameras before lowering his voice to a very nervous whisper. "Ma'am, I really think you need to see this right now, but please try to keep your composure." The footage he showed me on his digital tablet immediately made the blood in my veins run completely cold. My supposed life partner was tightly embracing a blonde woman while affectionately kissing a toddler on the forehead. The guard quietly explained that this man frequently visited the mall with them while claiming to be a single father raising his son alone. I stared at the glowing screen in absolute silence, while my fingers gripped the leather strap of my purse tightly enough to turn my knuckles white. Sometimes the most devastating betrayal comes from the exact person you promise to spend the rest of your life with. If you are listening to this story today because you have experienced a similar heartbreak, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel or leave a comment below about where you are tuning in from. Finding out that your entire reality is a fabricated lie can feel incredibly isolating, so your support truly gives me the strength to share the rest of this unbelievable journey with you. At exactly 11 o'clock that night, I patiently waited for Travis to begin snoring evenly before gently bringing his laptop into the bathroom and locking the door tight. Throughout our 3 years of marriage, we had always shared this particular computer without ever questioning each other about personal privacy or hidden digital folders. He always left his internet browser set to remember every single password because his arrogance convinced him that I would never dare to investigate his private affairs. I placed the silver device on the closed toilet lid before pressing the power button to illuminate the screen within the pitch-black confines of the tiled room. My index finger hovered over the trackpad as I navigated directly toward the online banking portal we use to manage our household expenses. The system automatically populated his login credentials into the required fields, while granting me immediate access to his financial history without requiring any additional verification steps. I bypassed the joint checking account interface to click directly into his personal savings tab to scrutinize the transaction logs from the past 2 years. Scrolling down the illuminated page revealed a highly suspicious pattern of withdrawals occurring on the 15th day of every single month, without fail. A recurring electronic transfer of exactly $3,000 was being systematically routed to an external account belonging to a recipient registered under the name Brenda. He was actively siphoning away his salary to support this other woman, while constantly claiming he needed those funds to pay off his lingering university tuition debts. My hands remained entirely steady as I opened a new browser tab to access his primary email inbox to dig deeper into these mysterious expenditures. I typed the keywords regarding payment receipts into the search bar to filter through thousands of unread promotional messages cluttering his digital workspace. The screen immediately populated with dozens of confirmation emails originating from various pediatric clinics, along with digital invoices from several prominent baby supply retailers. I clicked open the most recent electronic receipt from a major toy store detailing the purchase of a wooden crib, along with several boxes of newborn formula. One particular invoice detailed the delivery of a premium infant car seat shipped directly to a residential neighborhood located 30 miles away from the city center. The billing section contained his credit card information, while the shipping section clearly displayed a physical address associated with the woman named Brenda. This specific location matched the exact destination he frequently claimed to visit for mandatory weekend corporate retreats during the past 12 months. The sheer volume of baby clothing purchases documented within these digital receipts indicated the child had been receiving continuous support since birth. I pulled my smartphone from my robe pocket to carefully photograph every single transaction record displayed on the monitor while making absolutely sure the camera flash remained disabled. Capturing these physical proofs was crucial, because a confrontational argument tonight would only give him the opportunity to delete his digital footprints before morning. I meticulously scrolled through the email attachments to photograph the delivery invoices showing the exact street name associated with his alternate life. After securing over 40 clear images of his financial deception, I closed the browser windows to restore the computer to its original state. I wiped the keyboard with the edge of my sleeve to remove any lingering fingerprints before quietly shutting the laptop lid to plunge the bathroom back into darkness. I unlocked the bathroom door with extreme caution to avoid making any metallic clicking noises that might awaken the man sleeping in the adjacent room. Travis remained deeply asleep on his side of the mattress with his back turned toward the doorway, as I silently slipped back under the heavy cotton blankets. Watching him sleep so peacefully after financing a separate family using our shared resources required every ounce of my physical restraint. I deliberately chose not to confront him because maintaining the illusion of my ignorance was the most powerful weapon I currently possessed. The rhythmic sound of his breathing filled the silent bedroom, while I stared up at the dark ceiling to formulate my upcoming moves for the following day. I opened the alarm application on my phone to schedule a silent vibration alert for 5:30 in the morning to ensure I would wake up before him. I spent the remaining hours of the night perfectly still beside the person who had meticulously constructed a fraudulent reality funded by our household income. On Sunday morning, I visited a local rental agency to secure an unmarked gray sedan before driving directly toward the residential address printed on the delivery receipts. Navigating through the quiet suburban neighborhood allowed me to locate the specific brick house without drawing any unwanted attention from the surrounding property owners. I carefully positioned my rented vehicle behind a massive oak tree, situated approximately 50 yards away from their front driveway, to establish a perfect observation point. Maintaining this safe distance provided an incredibly clear line of sight regarding the front yard, while keeping my physical presence completely concealed from anyone inside the residence. I turned off the engine to sit in absolute silence, while keeping my eyes firmly fixed on the empty paved driveway, anticipating their eventual arrival. Less than 20 minutes later, the familiar black sport utility vehicle belonging to Travis appeared at the corner of the street before slowly turning into the yard. He was not arriving alone today because his parents, Victor, alongside Diane, were sitting in the passenger seats of his vehicle. Travis shifted the transmission into park before stepping out of the driver's side door while wearing his usual casual weekend clothing. Victor emerged from the rear passenger seat carrying a massive bakery box containing a large birthday cake, while Diane carefully pulled out a vibrant bouquet of floating helium balloons. The front door of the house immediately swung open to reveal Brenda stepping onto the porch while balancing the young toddler on her left hip. She walked down the wooden steps to greet the older couple with an incredibly enthusiastic smile right in the middle of the manicured lawn. Diane immediately dropped the strings attached to the balloons onto the grass to wrap Brenda in a remarkably affectionate embrace, resembling a mother welcoming her own beloved daughter. Victor handed the bakery box to his son, before eagerly taking the young boy from Brenda to bounce him high into the air amidst loud laughter. Travis stepped closely beside Brenda to wrap his right arm securely around her waist, while watching his parents entertain the child. Witnessing this harmonious family gathering unfolding right before my eyes caused my hands to involuntarily crush the leather covering of the steering wheel until my knuckles turned completely white. My fingernails dug deeply into the synthetic material as a sudden flood of incredibly bitter memories violently rushed to the forefront of my racing mind. I vividly recalled the countless Sunday dinners where Diane would aggressively throw glossy fertility clinic brochures directly onto my dining table. She would constantly berate my perceived reproductive failures, while loudly demanding I undergo invasive medical examinations to figure out what was wrong with my internal organs. The older woman frequently threatened that her successful son would eventually initiate divorce proceedings if I failed to provide their family with a proper biological heir. Watching them celebrate a child born from deceit completely shattered the elaborate illusion they had meticulously constructed during my 3 years of marriage. They had known about this secret family the entire time, while actively choosing to participate in the psychological torment directed entirely at me. I firmly pressed the record button on my smartphone camera to capture a continuous high-definition video immortalizing their joyful celebration on the front lawn. I held the device perfectly steady against the steering column to ensure every single face remained entirely recognizable within the digital frame to prevent any future denials. The digital lens recorded Victor playfully chasing the toddler around the yard, while Diane affectionately linked her arm through Brenda as they walked toward the front door. Travis opened the heavy wooden door to allow the two women to enter the house, before following them inside with the bakery box secured in his hands. The front door clicked shut to leave the yard completely empty, while the colorful balloons continued bobbing gently against the green grass. I waited another 5 minutes to ensure nobody would look out the windows before carefully taking my foot off the brake pedal. Capturing this undeniable proof of their collective betrayal gave me the exact legal ammunition required for my upcoming battle regarding our shared assets. I lowered the recording device into my passenger seat, before decisively shifting the transmission into drive to leave that deceitful neighborhood behind for good. At exactly 9 o'clock on Monday morning, I pushed open the glass doors entering the workspace of my attorney Joanne, while carrying freshly printed documents. I immediately placed the comprehensive folders containing all the photographic evidence directly onto her mahogany desk for her professional legal review. Joanne carefully organized the scattered papers into neat piles before methodically scanning through the printed email correspondences I had managed to capture with my smartphone. She focused her highly trained eyes on a specific email thread exchanged between my husband Travis alongside another local family law attorney named Mitchell. The attached digital files within that specific correspondence contained a fully drafted quitclaim deed explicitly outlining the unauthorized transfer of my primary residential property. Reading the detailed messages exchanged between the two men revealed their meticulously calculated scheme to forge my personal signature onto the official real estate documents. They were actively conspiring to illegally alter the property title to secure half the equity for Travis, right before formally filing the divorce papers. Discovering this fraudulent conspiracy prompted my lawyer to immediately initiate a deeper background investigation into the financial records belonging to my extended family members. She accessed the county public records database using her professional credentials to scrutinize any recent property transactions involving Victor, alongside his wife, Diane. The computerized registry quickly displayed a recently approved mortgage refinancing application securely attached to the primary residential home, currently occupied by my in-laws. They had voluntarily liquidated the entirety of their accumulated retirement equity to extract a massive lump sum of liquid cash from their property. Joanne utilized advanced financial tracing software to track the ultimate destination of those newly acquired funds traversing through various corporate banking channels. The electronic paper trail led directly to a newly registered limited liability company officially classified under the category of medical real estate investments. This specific corporate entity had recently executed a massive cash transaction to outright purchase an established physical rehabilitation clinic operating within the city limits. Pulling the official state business registration documents for this medical facility revealed the absolute sole proprietor possessing total ownership of the entire enterprise. The registered owner managing this newly acquired medical clinic was none other than the blonde woman known as Brenda. My husband had essentially convinced his own parents to mortgage their future stability to purchase a lucrative business for the woman destroying my marriage. Recognizing the severe legal implications of this coordinated deception required Joanne to immediately draft a series of protective financial injunctions regarding my personal assets. I retrieved a blue ink pen from the desktop organizer before firmly signing my name across multiple authorization forms prepared by my legal counsel. These signed documents granted my attorney the absolute authority to legally block any unauthorized attempts to transfer or modify the title of my home. Joanne meticulously filed the authorized paperwork into a secure folder while simultaneously preparing the necessary subpoenas to expose the fraudulent quitclaim deed scheme. We spent the next 3 hours methodically analyzing every single financial loophole to ensure Travis would face severe legal consequences for his attempted forgery. She printed a comprehensive checklist detailing the exact steps required to systematically dismantle the financial network sustaining his alternate reality with Brenda. I systematically reviewed the strategic timeline proposed by my attorney while mentally preparing myself for the upcoming confrontation with the man living in my house. Joanne explicitly instructed me to maintain my normal daily routine without showing any signs of suspicion regarding the fraudulent property transfer documents. Acting completely oblivious to their criminal conspiracy would essentially give Travis the false confidence required to proceed with presenting the forged paperwork. I folded the confidential legal strategy documents into a secure envelope before placing them deeply inside the hidden compartment of my leather handbag. The undeniable proof of their financial crimes sitting on that desk solidified my resolve to pursue the maximum legal retaliation possible. Joanne walked around her desk to firmly shake my hand, while assuring me the upcoming battle would heavily favor our well-documented position. I turned around to exit the professional law office, while feeling an overwhelming sense of clarity regarding the absolute destruction of my marriage. Leaving that building equipped with an impenetrable legal defense strategy officially marked the beginning of my calculated counterattack against the family trying to ruin me. On Wednesday afternoon, while Joanne remained busy preparing our official legal defense documents, I checked the mailbox outside my residence to discover a stamped envelope originating from the local fertility clinic. Approximately 2 months prior to discovering his massive betrayal, we had visited this exact medical facility to undergo comprehensive reproductive testing together. I vividly remember sitting in that sterile waiting room, while Travis confidently assured me the doctors would eventually find a medical flaw within my internal system. Both of us signed a strict privacy consent form, explicitly authorizing the medical staff to mail the physical laboratory results directly to our shared residential address. I carried the sealed parcel into the kitchen before retrieving a sharp metal box cutter from the utility drawer to carefully slice through the thick paper packaging. Sliding the stacked documents onto the granite countertop revealed 2 separate medical files containing our individualized reproductive health evaluations printed on thick clinical stationery. I immediately flipped open the first folder bearing my own legal name to scan through the various hormonal panels alongside the detailed ultrasound diagnostic reports. The attending physician had clearly stamped a final conclusion at the bottom of the page, confirming my reproductive system functioned perfectly normally without any underlying complications. Setting my personal file aside allowed me to pick up the second folder containing the comprehensive laboratory analysis regarding the physical health of my husband, Travis. My eyes immediately locked onto a heavily bolded paragraph situated near the middle of the page, summarizing his microscopic sample evaluation. The official medical laboratory results explicitly registered his active reproductive count at absolute 0, while detailing a permanent biological condition, making natural conception physically impossible. Reading further down, the diagnostic report provided a thorough medical explanation regarding this severe fertility complication affecting his reproductive organs. The specialized fertility doctor attributed this permanent testicular damage directly to a severe case of epidemic parotitis he had unfortunately contracted when he was 12 years old. The aggressive viral infection had systematically destroyed his reproductive capabilities during his early adolescence to render him completely sterile for the rest of his adult life. The printed text explicitly stated his body lacked the fundamental biological mechanisms required to ever father a biological child under any natural circumstances. I read the clinical terminology multiple times to ensure my eyes were not misinterpreting the devastating finality of the physician's professional medical assessment. Staring at this undeniable medical diagnosis completely shifted my perspective regarding the elaborate secret life he had been funding for the past 2 years. The young boy I had witnessed him affectionately bouncing on the front lawn last weekend could not possibly share any biological genetic connection to him. The blonde woman named Brenda had effectively manipulated his desperate desire for fatherhood to secure a steady stream of financial support for a child belonging to another man. She had successfully trapped my arrogant husband in a web of lies by presenting him with a fake heir to drain his personal bank accounts. This groundbreaking revelation meant she had also successfully conned Victor alongside Diane into liquidating their entire retirement savings to purchase a lucrative business for an absolute stranger. The older couple had ruthlessly tormented me over my supposed inability to conceive, while blindly showering their affection upon a toddler bearing zero relation to their family lineage. They had mortgaged their own residential home to invest in a fraudulent legacy built entirely upon the manipulative lies spun by an opportunistic mistress. The sheer magnitude of this multifaceted deception left me standing motionless in the kitchen while processing the devastating irony of the entire situation unfolding before me. Travis had actively destroyed our legitimate marriage to build a fake family based entirely on biological fraud, orchestrated by his cunning mistress. Every single insult directed at my body by his mother over the past 3 years had actually been masking her own son's irreversible reproductive failure. They had collectively blamed me for their empty nursery, while the true medical deficiency had always existed entirely within his own damaged internal system. I carefully refolded the medical reports along their original creases before sliding them back into the stamped envelope to preserve the physical evidence exactly as it arrived. I walked over to the entryway table to firmly shove the sealed document deep inside my leather purse alongside the other explosive legal files. Holding the medical results in my hand prompted me to immediately pick up my cellular phone to call Joanne regarding a necessary change in our legal strategy. My attorney listened carefully as I relayed the devastating clinical diagnosis proving my husband suffered from permanent biological sterility. Joanne explicitly emphasized the absolute necessity of baiting Travis into voluntarily presenting his forged quitclaim deed draft during a recorded professional meeting. She thoroughly explained how bringing those fake property transfer documents into a legitimate legal environment would officially cement his federal fraud charges. She wanted to catch him actively committing the crime, rather than merely possessing the fraudulent paperwork in secret. We needed him to firmly believe he held the upper hand without suspecting our underlying knowledge regarding his illicit financial machinations alongside his fake child. Maintaining this careful illusion of ignorance was absolutely crucial to guaranteeing his ultimate downfall inside her conference room. Joanne instructed me to manipulate his massive ego by pretending to completely surrender my marital rights under the crushing weight of my supposed infertility. Ending the phone call allowed me to open the messaging application on my smartphone to draft a highly calculated group text directed at Travis alongside his parents. I intentionally structured my sentences to project the pathetic image of a defeated woman completely crushed by her biological failures. Typing the carefully chosen words required me to suppress my intense disgust toward the 3 individuals actively plotting my financial ruin. Every single character I typed felt like a deliberate strike against their ongoing campaign of malicious psychological manipulation. I explicitly stated my reluctant acceptance of a permanent divorce while falsely citing my inability to bear children as the primary catalyst for my surrender. The message formally invited his entire family alongside their fraudulent legal representative to attend a settlement meeting at my attorney's office on Saturday morning. I concluded the digital message by expressing my complete willingness to sign the property division paperwork to finalize the separation process peacefully. Hitting the send button successfully delivered the deceptive invitation directly to their respective mobile devices simultaneously. Less than 3 minutes passed before my screen illuminated with a swift reply originating from my deceitful husband. Travis enthusiastically agreed to the proposed Saturday morning timeline, while maintaining a patronizing tone throughout his brief response. His digital message dripped with massive arrogance, indicating his complete certainty regarding his upcoming financial victory over my personal real estate assets. He firmly promised to bring his lawyer Mitchell alongside his parents to finalize the asset division process exactly as I had requested. Receiving his confident confirmation prompted me to place my phone onto the kitchen counter before walking directly toward the attached residential garage. I retrieved several flattened cardboard moving boxes from the overhead storage racks before meticulously assembling them along the concrete floor. Securing the bottom flaps of each container with heavy industrial packing tape ensured they would safely hold his personal belongings without breaking apart. I marched straight into our shared master bedroom closet to begin systematically removing every single article of clothing belonging exclusively to Travis. I forcefully pulled his expensive tailored suits off their wooden hangers before tossing them indiscriminately into the waiting cardboard receptacles. I also cleared out his expansive shoe collection by dumping his leather Oxfords alongside his athletic sneakers into another empty corrugated bin. Grabbing stacks of his folded casual shirts from the wooden shelves allowed me to rapidly fill the remaining empty spaces within the cardboard boxes. I continued purging the entire wardrobe closet until absolutely nothing remained except my own personal garments hanging neatly along the metal racks. Returning to the garage with the filled boxes required multiple trips back forth across the hardwood flooring, stretching down the main hallway. I refused to leave a single item belonging to that treacherous man inside the pristine living spaces we had once shared as a married couple. I grabbed the heavy plastic tape dispenser to firmly seal the top flaps of each container shut while pressing the adhesive strip down aggressively. I systematically stacked the sealed rectangular boxes into a neat vertical column, pushed tightly against the cold concrete wall near the mechanical garage door. Preparing his impending eviction required no tears nor emotional breakdowns because my mind remained entirely focused on the upcoming legal confrontation. I stood in the center of the dimly lit garage looking at the stacked boxes, waiting patiently for his permanent departure from my residential property. At exactly 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, Travis confidently walked into the professional conference room belonging to my attorney Joanne, alongside his parents, Victor, alongside Diane, plus his legal representative Mitchell. The opposing group took their respective seats directly across the polished mahogany table from our defensive position, while projecting an aura of superiority. Mitchell immediately popped the brass latches securing his leather briefcase to extract the fraudulent quitclaim deed he had maliciously prepared behind my back. The confident lawyer slid the forged property document directly across the smooth wooden surface toward my seating position while tapping his expensive pen against the paper. He arrogantly instructed me to sign the highlighted signature line to formally surrender exactly half the equity holding of my primary residence to finalize the marital separation smoothly. Joanne did not hesitate for a single second before aggressively shoving his fabricated legal paperwork back across the table toward his expensive tailored suit. My attorney simultaneously retrieved a certified stack of historical banking statements from her own secure folder to present our impenetrable financial defense. She systematically laid out the official transaction records, proving beyond any reasonable doubt that I had purchased the entire residential property using exclusively my own personal premarital funds. Joanne verbally walked them through every single deposit receipt, matching the exact monetary value of the initial house purchase wire transfer to completely destroy their ownership claims. Watching their initial legal strategy completely crumble caused the opposing lawyer to shift uncomfortably within his leather chair while attempting to formulate a new argument. Joanne refused to give him any opportunity to speak before forcefully slamming the printed email correspondences directly onto the center of the table, right in front of his face. She explicitly pointed her index finger at the documented digital conversation detailing the exact criminal conspiracy to forge my personal signature onto the property transfer paperwork. My attorney maintained unbroken eye contact with the opposing counsel while coldly announcing her immediate intention to submit these highly incriminating digital records directly to the Arizona State Bar. Joanne clearly outlined how this undeniable proof of premeditated fraud would compel the disciplinary committee to permanently revoke the professional legal license belonging to Mitchell. The arrogant smirk completely vanished from the face of the opposing lawyer as his skin turned a visible shade of pale white under the fluorescent office lights. Mitchell hastily pushed his chair backward, causing the wooden legs to scrape loudly against the hardwood floor before frantically buttoning the front of his suit jacket with visibly trembling fingers. He stammered slightly while attempting to physically distance himself from the forged documents lying completely exposed on the table surface. "I am officially withdrawing as your legal counsel effective immediately," Mitchell declared with a severely shaking voice while refusing to make any eye contact with his client. The disgraced attorney quickly snatched his leather briefcase off the table before practically running out of the conference room while completely abandoning an incredibly confused Travis. Travis stared blankly at the closing door while processing the sudden departure of his legal shield before turning his panicked gaze toward his seated parents. Watching their expensive legal representation flee the room in absolute terror caused Victor to aggressively slam his closed fist directly against the hard surface of the conference table. The older man stood up from his chair to point his wrinkled finger directly at my face, while projecting his furious voice across the silent room. He began screaming loudly about the massive medical clinic they had recently purchased to establish a highly profitable business enterprise, exclusively for Brenda. Victor bragged about transferring their entire retirement savings into a specialized corporate account to ensure Brenda could operate a massive physical therapy center without any financial constraints. He aggressively threatened to utilize the incoming revenue generated by their newly acquired business wealth to hire a much more aggressive legal team to fight me. Victor explicitly promised to use every single dollar they possessed to completely crush my financial future during the upcoming divorce litigation proceedings moving forward. Diane chimed into the hostile conversation by loudly praising the supposed business acumen of Brenda, while predicting their new medical facility would generate millions of dollars in continuous profit. The older couple continued shouting their arrogant financial threats across the table, while desperately trying to regain control over a rapidly spiraling situation. I sat perfectly still while listening to them brag about the fraudulent clinic they had foolishly purchased for a manipulative mistress. Right after Victor finished delivering his arrogant financial threats across the conference room, I retrieved the sealed medical envelope directly from the hidden compartment inside my leather handbag. I extracted the official laboratory diagnostic document before forcefully throwing the heavy paper straight onto the center of the polished wooden table. I pointed my index finger directly at the bolded medical terminology while firmly ordering Travis to read the specific clinical conclusion aloud for everyone present to hear clearly. Travis hesitantly picked up the official hospital document with visibly shaking fingers, before slowly reciting the complex medical phrase, epidemic parotitis, with a noticeably trembling voice. Reading the subsequent paragraph detailing his absolute biological sterility completely drained every single drop of blood from his rapidly paling face under the bright fluorescent lights. The devastating realization regarding his permanent inability to ever father a biological child effectively turned his entire physical body into solid stone. He stood completely paralyzed beside his leather chair, while his mind finally comprehended the massive scale of the deception orchestrated by his manipulative mistress. Joanne capitalized on their stunned silence by opening her laptop to display recently acquired financial tracking data, tracing the corporate business accounts registered under the LLC. My attorney professionally informed the frozen family members that Brenda had initiated a complete liquidation of her newly acquired medical assets exactly 3 days prior to this meeting. The deceitful blonde woman had secretly transferred the legal ownership of the physical therapy clinic, while simultaneously selling her luxury sports utility vehicle to an anonymous local dealership. Joanne presented the official bank withdrawal confirmations proving Brenda had completely drained every single dollar from the business investment accounts originally funded entirely by Victor. The official county property records also indicated the manipulative mistress had abruptly broken her residential lease before fleeing across state lines to successfully avoid any potential legal repercussions. The comprehensive financial evidence conclusively demonstrated how Brenda had orchestrated a masterful long-term con to steal their entire retirement savings while simultaneously providing Travis with a fake biological heir. Hearing the detailed explanation regarding their catastrophic financial ruin caused Victor to suddenly collapse backward into his leather conference chair while violently gasping for oxygen. The older man clutched his chest in absolute horror as the crushing reality of permanently losing his entire life savings finally breached his previously arrogant exterior facade. Diane reacted to the devastating news by frantically digging into her designer purse to retrieve her cellular phone with violently shaking hands, desperately seeking an explanation. The panicked woman desperately dialed the familiar contact number belonging to Brenda, while holding the glowing device tightly against her ear, awaiting a reassuring response. The digital speaker instantly projected a loud automated carrier message, formally stating the dialed mobile number no longer existed within the active cellular network database. Diane dropped her silent device onto the wooden table, while finally understanding they had sacrificed their entire financial future to finance a complete biological lie designed to destroy them. I utilized their moment of absolute vulnerability to confidently slide the finalized divorce settlement papers directly across the table toward my completely paralyzed husband. I handed him a black ink pen before coldly ordering him to sign the legal separation documents immediately without uttering another useless word of protest. I explicitly instructed him to leave the professional office building to retrieve his neatly packed cardboard boxes currently sitting untouched inside my residential garage. I firmly mandated his complete physical removal from my personal property before the clock struck exactly 5 this evening to avoid a forced police eviction process. Travis robotically signed his legal name onto the designated signature line, while completely failing to formulate any coherent response to my strict final eviction demands. I grabbed my personal belongings off the chair before confidently walking out of the corporate conference room without looking back at the shattered family, leaving them drowning in their massive debts. Returning to my quiet house later that afternoon allowed me to immediately hire a professional locksmith to completely replace every single exterior deadbolt securing the residential premises. Turning the brand new brass key into the heavy front door lock permanently finalized the complete severance of my disastrous 3-year marriage, moving forward into a peaceful future.